Hello everyone, we're up to event number 3 in this very unique year, and that's the burning of the Chametz. On a regular year, we burn the Chametz the night after we do the check, and we have to get it done an hour before Chatzot, an hour before midday, and ultimately, that is the halacha on a regular Erev Pesach. This year, Erev Pesach is on Shabbos, so burning Chametz on Shabbos is, of course, not an option. We don't light a fire on Shabbos. So what do? Obviously, the answer is going to be, we're going to burn it a day early. However, the question is the timing. So the Mordechai, who was the chavruta of the Rosh, hinhig Rashi, an old minhag from Rashi, kishachal yudalid liot b'Shabbat, when indeed the 14th is on Shabbos like this year, lisrof chametz b'yud gimel, b'yom shishi, you burn it on Friday, a day early, be'erev Shabbat, kodem chatzot, before midday. Why before midday? Essentially, chametz is allowed all day. You're allowed to eat it Friday night. So why do you have to burn it before midday? It's a very funny thing. You're going to burn the chametz and then you're going to eat it. Why? He basically says that next year you're going to remember, oh, this is what I do. On Erev Pesach, I'm going to burn the chametz in the afternoon. But on a regular Erev Pesach, that's not an option. By midday, all bets are off. So in order for you not to make that mistake, we essentially tell you, even this year, Friday, burn the chametz before midday, and that's exactly the way the Shulchan Aruch paskins. He, of course, can't say it's a halacha, but he says, Tov, liva'er be'erev Shabbat. It's a good idea to burn it on Friday. Call them chatzot before midday, kedei shelo yavo l'ta'ut b'shar hashanim. However, the question is as follows. On a regular year, there's a rabbinic enactment so that we don't get to midday, that they pushed it back a little bit, and they said an hour before midday is the time that you have to have the chametz burnt by. Here, where essentially it's a huge chumrah, after all, you're allowed to eat chametz all Friday, do you have to be as careful and indeed do it an hour before midday or not? Comes the Mishnah Bura and says, Kodem chatzot lav davka. As the Mishnah Bura does many times in the words of the Shulchan Aruch, he says he doesn't really mean that. When he says Kodem chatzot lav davka, v'ratzal omar b'tchilat sha'ah shishit kemo shar hashanim. So ultimately on Friday, you act like as if it's Erev Pesach, an hour before midday. That's the time that the chametz has to be burned, and the Chaye Adam actually concurs. He says, Umevaharin b'yom vav b'sha'ah hey, not midday, which is the 6th hour, but rather the 5th hour, an hour before. You go ahead and burn the chametz, kemo bechol Erev Pesach, as if it's the eve of Pesach. But the Maharsham Shvadron disagrees. He says, the Shulchan Aruch says, chatzot, only on a year where it's a deoraita after the 6th hour to own chametz do we push it back an hour. But this year, there's no such thing. And therefore, he says, there's no reason to make a gzeira legzeira. And therefore, when the Shulchan Aruch says chatzot, he means midday. He doesn't mean an hour before midday. And therefore, I've instructed everyone that asked me, try to burn the chametz before the 5th hour, and essentially get it done by midday. In other words, on the one hand, it's not an Erev Pesach, but on the other hand, in order not to make that mistake next year, I said to everyone, act as if it's Erev Pesach, but if you're very pressed for time or there's some circumstance, obviously you can do it till midday. That's the Pashut Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch, and that seems to be, indeed, what is logical since there is no pressing circumstance.